Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a world that's usually hidden from view. The world of how giant companies make these massive, sometimes billion-dollar decisions. This is the secret economic engine that, believe it or not, powers pretty much everything you see and touch. I mean, think about it for a second. Your last purchase was probably super simple. You saw something, you liked it, you paid for it, and that was that. Easy, right? But what happens when the thing being bought isn't a pair of sneakers, but a whole fleet of jet engines for an airline? Well, that's where the process gets wildly different and a whole lot more fascinating. And when you understand how that works, you're unlocking this huge, hidden part of our economy that really shapes the world around us. So let's dive right in and take a look at this high-stakes game of how businesses actually buy things. Okay, so first up, we need to wrap our heads around this absolutely massive market that's operating, right underneath our feet, completely out of sight. So look, the real difference here isn't just the crazy price tag. It's about everything else. The sheer number of people involved, the incredible risks, and the long-term relationships that get built or broken along the way. Now, here's what's so cool about this. Even for a simple purchase like your shoes, there's this whole hidden supply chain of businesses selling to other businesses, what we call B2B. Honestly, way more money and stuff changes hands between all these companies than in that one final sale to you. That's where the real action is.
And you gotta understand, this business market, it plays by a totally different set of rules. It is a completely different game than the one you and I play every day.
For starters, companies that sell to other companies are dealing with way fewer buyers, but each one is gigantic. Just think about a company like Goodyear Tires. Their entire year could depend on sealing a deal with just a handful of big car manufacturers like Ford or Toyota.
And yeah, forget about impulse buys. That doesn't happen here. Business purchases are made by trained professionals, purchasing agents, who have to follow super strict company rules. We're talking formal proposals, complex contracts, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, this next idea is absolutely crucial to understanding all of this. It's called derived demand. Basically, the demand for business products only exists because of the demand for consumer products. A company doesn't buy a ton of steel just for fun. They buy it because you want to buy a new car.
And this picture illustrates that perfectly. The only reason a company needs to buy this massive mining equipment is because we, as consumers, demand electricity to power our homes and steel to build our cars and appliances. It all traces back to us.
So, who actually makes these huge decisions? Well, it's almost never just one person. It's more like a village, a whole committee of people, each with their own job and their own agenda.
And the official name for this group is the buying center. It's basically everyone and anyone who has a hand in the process, from the person who first realizes there's a problem all the way to the executive who signs the final check. Now, inside this buying center, you can have people playing up to 7 different roles, from initiators all the way to gatekeepers. We're not going to get bogged down in all 7, but let's break down 3 of the most important ones you'll always find. So first up, you've got the users. These are the folks in the trenches, the ones on the factory floor or in the office who are actually going to have to work with whatever gets bought. They care about whether it works and if it's easy to use, and they're usually the first ones to say, hey, this thing we have isn't cutting it anymore. Then you've got the influencers. These are your tech experts, the engineers, the IT specialists. They might not control the budget, but they're the ones who write the technical specs and can kill a deal if a product isn't up to snuff. So yeah, their opinion carries a ton of weight. And finally, we have the gatekeepers. Now these are the people who control the flow of information. It could be a receptionist, an executive assistant, or a purchasing agent. They can literally stop a salesperson from ever even getting a meeting. They hold way more power than you'd ever guess. Okay, so we've met the players. Now let's take a look at the game board itself. Businesses follow a really structured, step-by-step process when they decide to buy something. This chart here is called the Buy Grid Framework, and it shows how that process changes. So, if it's a totally new purchase, a new task, the company goes through every single step. But if it's just a simple, straight rebuy, like ordering more printer paper, they skip all the early stuff and go right to the order, though you'll notice they still review the supplier's performance afterwards. So the whole journey kicks off when somebody recognizes a problem. From there, the team figures out what they generally need. Then they get super specific with the technical requirements, and only then do they start the big hunt for suppliers.
And that supplier search, it is not just a quick Google search.
We're talking about going to huge trade shows, digging through industry directories, and sometimes even attending these massive auctions for heavy machinery, both in person and online.
In the final stretch, the buyer collects formal proposals, picks the winning supplier, nails down all the final details of the order, and then, and this part is so critical, they review how that supplier did after the sale. That review determines if they'll ever get business again.
So, with a process this complicated, how on earth do sellers actually win these massive deals? Well, I'll tell you this, it's about a whole lot more than just having the lowest price.
This quote right here just perfectly nails the mindset shift in modern business-to-business selling. It's not about selling a thing anymore. It's about solving a customer's entire problem. The companies that win are the ones that act like strategic partners, not just vendors. And this is a perfect example of what selling a solution looks like. A company can win a deal by showing the total value they bring. They're not just selling you a rail car. They're showing you how their entire logistics system will make your company more productive, which ultimately saves you way more money than a slightly cheaper price ever could. So here's a thought to leave you with. The next time you buy anything, your phone, your car, even just a cup of coffee, stop for a second and think, what incredible invisible web of business decisions, high-stakes negotiations, and complex relationships had to happen behind the scenes just to get that one simple product into your hands.